Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 122, written by SuchSloth. Man, alien, or beast, whatever it was, made for a night unleashed. I live in Georgia, the state, in a rural town not too far from a major city. There's a set of woods that's behind our house and it divides two neighborhoods. It's about a mile wide, if that. Strange occurrences have always surrounded these woods. Small things like random trash, tarps, etc. I should mention it's more swampy marsh than woods, so it makes camping in there impossible. One night I was taking our dog out. He stays in the back half of the house due to him not liking the other dogs. I took him out the side door and walked around the house to the fence. For some reason, when we left the house, he was absolutely terrified. He didn't want to go out, very unusual for a dog who's quick to snatch someone's soul if prompted. Not thinking about it, we pushed onward. After he tinkled, we walked back. This is when I noticed it, or rather heard it, crunching of leaves. At first, I thought it was one of our dozen cats on the property, until I realized it was matching my steps. If I walked, you could hear it walking. If I stopped, it too stopped. There's a small clearing between the woods where one of the sheds is. That's when we saw it. My dog was first to see something, and then I saw I don't really know, creature? It was taller than the shed, so maybe a good 8 feet tall, and it darted across the clearing at a crazy fast speed. My dog, who again isn't scared of anything, bolted so fast I dropped his leash and he ran to the door whining. I was quickly behind him. Once we were inside, I quickly bolted the door and ran to tell my girlfriend what happened. She immediately wanted to investigate, saying it's probably a woodland creature. Armed with 2 flashlights, we went out the front door. As we walked towards the wood line, we could hear something moving around. It sounded maybe 200 yards away. As we scanned with our flashlights, we saw nothing but kept hearing it. Then we heard it get closer and closer until it was maybe 20 feet away. Still nothing, no eyes, not even an animal call, just rustling. My girlfriend, now scared, heads for the house. I decided to check with the neighbors to see if maybe one of their many dogs got out. When I arrived at his house, my neighbor, who we'll call Dave, explained that all his dogs were accounted for. Curious though he was, he also came to investigate. This is when I noticed that whatever this thing was followed me along the woodline to Dave's house and was now behind Dave's house. Gun in hand, we went into his backyard scanning for something. We could hear it rustling or maybe running, about 100 yards away in thick, swampy woods. Far too thick for a person to walk in, let alone run in. Then it stopped. It was dead silent. Scanning on the edge, we hear and see nothing. And then, bam! All of a sudden, it was 5 feet in front of us, sprinting at me. It slammed the fence so hard it rocked it back and forth. Dave, now scared out of his mind, shot randomly at, nothing. We never saw it, never heard it get close to us. Again, as I mentioned, the woods are thick, too thick to run in, so what the hell teleported silently in front of us and then slammed the gate? Spooked, we were about to run. Then we heard it. It was human in nature, but not English. It sounded almost alien-like, not a known language. Dave, a hunter for the last 40 years, still to this day can't explain what that was. Anyway, after we heard that, we bolted. He covered me and I ran to my house. Not 10 minutes later, we both heard a loud explosion coming from the woods. It shook our houses and flickered our power. I ran outside to see what it was, and of course, nothing. But when Dave came out and confirmed he felt the same thing, we were both once again terrified. Moments later, a few strangers from the neighborhood came driving down our cul-de-sac, and they all agreed the blast sound they heard came from behind our house. 911 was called, and the 2 police officers interviewed us separately. Our stories matched. The responding officers refused to go anywhere near those woods. They took the report and left. To this day, we're still not sure what that encounter was. Also, Dave doesn't go outside at night anymore. It spooked him that bad. And remember, he's a seasoned hunter. Update. I understand I need to clarify something. The reason I say it's about 8 feet tall is because when I saw something dart past the clearing, all I saw was a light being blocked out from touching the shed. It blocked the light all the way past the top. It was fast, like a flicker, but I can confirm that it was something as my dog saw it too. Case notes, file number 122. So the author mentioned aliens, as in an alien language. A man of culture, I see. But in all seriousness, this must have been scary as hell. Honestly, I don't blame those two cops for not wanting to explore the backwoods. Who the hell would? Maybe with an army, the Mist style, equipped with flamethrowers. Maybe then, and maybe not. The really strange part, of course, is what on earth could cause the explosion too? There's nothing out in those woods, it's only a mile long, right? The only thing I can think of is maybe somehow an exposed gas line was sparked, but that doesn't really make sense either. If there's even a gas line running through those woods, and how would it get exposed right in that moment? And then what would cause a spark to ignite it? Case file number 123. Written by Crispy Milk 69. His canine buddy blocked by a door. Minutes later, this was no snore. This happened a couple months ago. So I have 5 dogs. One of them, we like to call her the baby of the house. She's this sweet tiny little mutt who rolls over at the slightest raise of your voice. Anyways, I was leaving the house to go back to work. I always make sure she's inside before leaving. I know for a fact she went inside when I left, because I stuck my foot in front of her and sort of kept her in place while I slipped through the door and shut it, like I usually do. Again, I want to reiterate, she was inside the house because I watched her start to walk away from the front door as I was closing it. I always make sure she's inside because I don't want her getting chewed up by any of the bigger dogs that roam around. I even looked around and made sure I didn't leave any other dogs outside. Went to my car, forgot something, turned the corner to go back inside, and there she was. She was just sitting in front of the door, outside, looking at me. And she was wagging her tail. Or nub, since she's a mutt and doesn't really have a tail. Like she had been waiting on me to let her inside. At first, I thought maybe somebody had broken in or something. But the door was locked. Back door is completely blocked by a bookshelf. Windows were locked. No doggy doors. Nobody else was home. And no way for her to have gotten outside. This was the only time this has happened. I live in a fairly small house. I know every nook and cranny, and there's no hidden hole in the wall or anything. Maybe I just missed something, but I've been royally confused ever since. Case notes, file number 123. Honestly, it's such a cool little glitch, since no one was hurt or even really scared. But it must drive your mind completely crazy, doesn't it? I wonder if maybe a window was open, although you say they were all locked. A stretch, I suppose. I can't imagine any way for her to have gotten outside, given your description. Did she behave the same after? No marks or injuries at all? Crispy Milk 69 responded to my comment briefly, saying, "There was no window open and no doors open. She behaved the exact same way she always does. Just chill and wags her tail when I come towards her." Furthering my thoughts, all I can say is this one really baffles me. It's a tiny glitch, but it just shouldn't be possible. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, and you may as well start a binge session now. I have so many more stories on my channel.